Hello everybody, welcome to the second part of To Get Back to You. Again, I'm not entirely sure how many parts this is going to be, so we will kind of find out as we go. And for warning, this will be the last fluffy part to this until probably the end. Yeah. I will also go ahead and add that, again, I wrote this over a year ago. So this is my old way of writing, so this is like the last part of this format, and then after that I will be writing it the way that I would normally write in Chatty. I did find my notebook that has like literally all of the plans specifically for this series. It will be a long series, but there's so much plans for this and it literally makes me excited thinking about writing it. Yeah. Also, old me did not write content warnings in my chat, so I'll go ahead and state the content warnings now. There will be mentions of blood and, what was the word? Right, mentions of violence towards the end of this part. So, yes, get ready. Hello, my lovely viewers. Looking for some affordable and good-quality anime merch? Want to support your favorite Haikyuu team or join UA? What about joining the Straw Hat Pirates for an adventure or two? Want to join the Black Wolves or the Fairy Tale Guild? Well, this site has that and so much more. Use my discount code and receive 10% off your entire order. Link and code is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Sugawa snuggled further into Akawa's hoodie that was protecting his body from the bitter cold. It was past noon, yet the sun did little to aid warmth in the late year. His bag settled comfortably on the shoulders. Iwazumi was a bit too paranoid knowing Suga was going out and not giving any other information about where he was going, mainly because his outing was a secret. The trainer packed the bag to the brim with snacks, first aid, and even a sewing kit. The last item made the teacher curious, fearing maybe he had accidentally thrown that in there after patching up a hole in Okawa's hoodie. So protective. He cooed, already getting lost in his thoughts about his boyfriends, completely simping over them when Koro appeared over his shoulder. Yo. Oh, Koro. So nice of you to join me. He took a sip of his warm coffee, warming his entire body and ridding himself of the cold chills. The Raven squinted his eyes, glaring at the teacher. We all know that there wasn't much of a choice in the matter. The gray-haired man flipped out his phone, pulling up the messages between him and Akashi. Oh, we all know there was a choice to be made. You just made the correct one. In his years of teaching, although there might not be many, he learned to walk around his children, preventing many outbursts and tantrums. In a way, he became slick and definitely knew his way around using blackmail. Koro scoffed, burying his face in a scarf that actually belonged to Bokuto, but he stole just for the trip. Let's just make this quick. It's freezing out here. Good point. What do you think Dai will like? The taller scrunched his brow. How am I supposed to know that? Shouldn't you? So many years spent with the cop, and he still never knew what to get him. It became an endless cycle to the point where he dreaded this time of year. The thing is, I'm completely oblivious on what to get for my future husband. Whoa, you're what? Koro was quick to cut Suga off, not daring to miss what the smaller had just mentioned. The teacher flashed, realizing that those words had just slipped from his lips. Sugawara. Well, of course he's my future husband. So isn't Totoro and Hajime. Don't you feel the same with your partners? Actually lamenting those words out loud made his chest feel warm. He wanted the future with his partners, and the thought made him all giddy. Obviously, there isn't a moment I don't think about our future together. But why don't you just get him that? Koro turned the corner and dragged the ladder beside him, walking inside a store that Sugawara dreaded as soon as he walked inside. No, Koro, no. I am not doing this. His eyes quickly skimmed through the bands underneath the glass case, his anxiety growing by the second. Oh, relax. You're not getting the real thing, just a promise ring. That's something simple and from the heart. He will love it. Unfortunately, my concerns don't lie with whether or not he will love it. I just wanted to get one for Haji and Toro as well. His frown deepened, glancing at the sign that showed their deals. Buy 3 rings and get an additional ring for 50% off. Come on. This just wasn't fair. And a little too convenient. Well, get one for them as well. He shrugged, not seeing any problem in getting them all a ring. But it's Daichi's birthday. Wouldn't it defeat the whole purpose of coming out here to get him a gift? The Raven thought for a moment. If he really was that similar to a cop as Sugoro seemed to think, he imagined what he would like and how he would feel if that were the case. I think that would be the best gift. He loves you and he loves them. I think the best present he could receive is from the heart, even if it's just a small dinner. I think you could hand that bastard a half-drunken soda can and he would cherish it. This is of course what you want to do in the end. Getting promise rings is a big step. Tearing his attention away from the taller, he glanced at the 4-piece set that was practically calling his name. It was simple enough to not get in the way of Daichi and Iwazumi's work, and not flashy enough to catch attention on the court for Aikawa. Fine. I'll get the rings. Hope flourished in his chest. He used to cringe at the idea of promise rings, thinking it was such an irrelevant part of a relationship. It wasn't until he got into a relationship himself that he realized the significance. He only looked forward to the moment, and it seemed he was the one taking the big step. After so many years, he was ready. He felt bubbly just thinking of the look on their faces, seeing him pull out the rings. Although this was still a steep price, digging a deep hole into his savings. But a sacrifice worth taking. So about Keiji's gift. Shit. He laughed nervously. Yes, the messages, right. He gulped, scrolling through his chat history. You see, about that. The rooster's eyebrow arched in questioning. Well... A teacher turned his phone around, allowing Koro to read through the messages. His eyes widened. Just their presence is enough. It really was a typical Akashi answer, one he should have seen a million miles away. You lied to me. Well, yes and no. He did text me what he wanted, so partly true? Koro scoffed, rubbing his fingers in a circular motion over his temples, trying to ease the migraine that was just beginning to form. It's honestly my fault for not asking to see beforehand. He glanced around the shop, taking the opportunity to look around, hoping that something would catch his eye. Akashi was a very simplistic person. He wasn't much for jewelry, since it had a flashy appeal that swayed him away from them. However, there was a way to work around that. Koro walked up to a case, seeing bracelets lined up. One was simple, with black leather attaching the clasps, and circular beads threaded throughout the leather. See something you like? The taller hadn't responded. Instead, he simply pulled out his wallet, making a purchase. Are you not wanting to get promise rings? Koro smiled warmly, thinking of how his future could be if he did make the big step. In truth, he was ready. Ready to even start a family. However, the timing wasn't right. Not yet, but I'll know when it's time. They both walked out of the store, with a gust of wind reminding them that winter was approaching. That surprisingly didn't take too long. Yeah, I guess we got lucky. And we can get home sooner. He jumped up in excitement, ready to be embraced by Iozumi, his strong arms wrapped around him in the most securing way. He was ready to lie over Daichi's legs, and ready to listen to Akao's beautiful voice, mindlessly going on about his day. That was his definition of a perfect conclusion to a day. Damn, he really didn't know how he got so lucky. Kodo was walking behind him, Suga leading the way, which was entirely the worst decision known to mankind. His sense of direction was equivalent to Hinata attempting to actually ace a test. Impossible. Are you sure you know where you're going? Of course, I'm just taking a shortcut. The silence lingered for far longer than any of them would have liked. It became intolerable. Suga had always been keen on noise. After all, he worked at a school, so it was almost unsettling. So, any plans? I mean, we did finish early. Kodo narrowed his eyes at the poor attempt to start up small talk, yet played along. Nothing big. We're still cheering on Ko for his first game yesterday. Oh right, I did hear about that. Toto has his first game coming up soon. A jump in his step formed as his excitement grew, just thinking about seeing his lover back on the court after so long away. It took a lot for him to get over his defeat back in high school, but was proud to see the fire still burning in his eyes. That and Ken is working on this huge project, a prototype for a new game, I believe. And KJ is about to start looking for internships for publishing companies. Damn, I'm so fucking proud of all of them. I get so happy about it and even paranoid. Paranoid? Suga turned the corner into an alley, finding this the quickest shortcut back to the train station. I mean, yeah. Definitely. I'd only recently talked to Kema about it, and I guess Ko too since he was awake, but... Have you ever thought how easy it was to get what you have? The smaller thought for a while, realizing maybe he did have the best luck. His crush hadn't lasted long since it had always been mutual, and they were quick to friend their relationship, and there has never been any trials they had to face, not to mention they have never gotten into an argument. There was nothing but love. Did he take it for granted? Maybe Koda was right, and it just happened too smoothly. If any of his teammates taught him anything, it was that life can be utterly cruel. Yamaguchi spent the better part of his childhood getting bullied. Tsukishima had disputes with his family, making it rather awkward whenever Agateru would visit the team. Nishinoya had this obsession with trying to become the greatest libero, so he would never have to lose those closest to him. He never had to face any of that. He did lose his position as a setter to Kageyama, but that was fine. That was what got them to nationals, so it was fine. But the more he thought, the more he had to realize that Daichi was a police officer. He could get hurt at any time. Akeva was a famous volleyball player. He knew that there would always be hatred in the world, and that might reflect on his lover. Maybe... No. Kodo was definitely right. He just spent his life being oblivious to those signs. I guess I am a little bit more aware of it than I was before. Kodo turned his head, surprised to hear those words that compared to his. His lover had only reassured him and never agreed with his thoughts. It caught him off guard. He was ready to be told he was an idiot for thinking such a thing, and he needed to be grateful for what he had. In truth, he had always been grateful, but that never stopped his fears from surfacing beneath the depths of his own ignorance. They stayed silent. This time, Suga didn't try to pick up conversation, not wanting to dive into something neither of them were ready to talk about. After all, they had plenty of time to talk about it, so there was no need to rush. Sugawara looked up, ultimately realizing that his surroundings grew more unfamiliar by each step, the decay of buildings and life growing, voiding him of sight. Hey, Kodo, do you want to happen to know where... He was cut off with a loud thump, silencing him of his thoughts. He spun around so fast he felt his neck ache from the action. Suga's eyes widened in terror. A man hovered over the raven's still body with a plank of wood. He picked out how wet the board was. The dull color of red meant only one thing. Koro! His voice muffled when another man snuck behind him, placing a rag over his mouth and nose. He gasped at the action, regretting it immediately when his head began to spin and his mind became fuzzy. Shit. He elbowed the man, trying desperately to shake the intruder from him, yet it proved to be in vain. Her size and strength doubled his. Panic seeped through when he recklessly swung his arms around, tiring himself. His vision blurred. His lungs ached, breathing in this mysterious substance on the rack. Koro would know what it was, yet his mind didn't process that asking was out of the question. His arms hung low, his body growing heavier by the second. Dark dots danced in his vision. The last thing he saw was Koro being picked up and slung over someone's shoulder before he felt the same thing happen to him, all before it grew dangerously dark. And then everything became numb. Alright, that officially wraps up the second part to the series. Obviously, things have escalated. This is the last part of Fluff, obviously, for quite a while, actually. The next part will definitely be very heavy, so make sure to look out for the content warnings. We will keep the outro short, mainly because I just endlessly ramble, and I still don't know how to film these, even after 3 years. 3 years. In 2 days, is my channel's 3-year anniversary. What? I mean, by the time this actually gets out to everybody though, and not just members, it will probably be far past my 3-year anniversary. But still, what? It is honestly crazy to think that 3 years have passed since I became hyperfixating on making Haikyuu gay. But yeah. Anyways, thank you so much to all my duckers. You guys are super duper amazing, and yes, I will see you guys later.